today on Wisdom Wednesdays, um, I don't know if this is really like I guess I'll work my way to the wisdom at the end, but I gotta make sure I'm only doing this. I'm giving you 9 minutes, 9 minutes of emotion and what I'm thinking and everything. So we're coming out of or we're about to come into, I'll say, a new year. We're a couple months out, or a couple months out, a couple weeks out from a new year, and I'm feeling myself personally, which I know I'm not alone in this feeling. Some people are getting their shit together, and some aren't. But in my case, I've realized the pattern in my own life, and I've realized the pattern that I see that I'm constantly doing, um, and I'm making efforts to try to change that pattern. But the issue is, habits die hard. It takes 3 months apparently to create a new habit. But I mean, while there's a lot of places and a lot of gurus and a lot of like psychologists saying that, yeah, in about 3 months' time, depending on how bad you want it, a habit can, ooh, yeah, apparently, a habit can uh, form. Um, but the issue is that I'm trying to, and I don't know. There should be science out there, and there should be um, a way to do it, but um, I'm still trying to figure out what is the time frame of breaking habits that you've been doing for, let's say, 10 years or like 15 years. Like, how do you break those habits? And yeah, it's supposed to be like a lot of digging, and usually they say like, oh well, get help and get yourself a circle that's gonna like help you out and all this other stuff. But what I've gathered is that, especially in life, a lot of people aren't, and no fault to them, but a lot of people aren't willing to hold you on their shoulder when they got their own crap they have to deal with. And it's understandable because everybody, this is the hardest issue. Everybody has their own thing or their own melodrama that maybe we don't understand, and in retrospect to our own, we think that our problems are bigger because we have to be with them 24/7, 365 our whole life. So, and my issue is that I'm coming to the point where I feel like, you know, I've squandered a lot, and I feel like also I knew this. I knew this was coming. I knew I was going to be here. I knew that I was going to be this person. I knew that, um, and I didn't want to believe it, um, because I kept saying to myself when I hit my basement level thinking when I'm by myself, I'd say to myself, I can't let myself fall. I can't let myself die. I can't lose this part of myself, because you know what? I'm so willing to hang on to a part of myself that frankly isn't helpful, but it's like it's like I'm trying to compromise. It'll be in the same vein of like compromising yourself for a relationship, changing everything about yourself in hopes that that will keep some beautiful girl that you are so madly in love with around. That's not how you win it. You have to, sure, there's things you update, sure, there's things you make um changes on so that you guys can better function, but you shouldn't be giving up on your integrity. And that's what it felt like for me a lot of times. For me to get to another place, I had to give up all of this integrity that I've built up. about myself and in myself for so long, even though these things that I feel so adamant about hanging on to only pad out good things every once in a while. Yeah, my light bugging out. Um but what I've come to the grips is that, and I walk around and I'm thinking to myself, while I'm not even that old. I mean, yeah, I look like somebody's fucking 40 or 45 or 50-year-old dad, but I'm not even that old. Like I'm just barely creeping into 30. Like I just got here and I already feel like I'm like 60 and having a midlife crisis, and the job I'm working is trash and everything is trash. And it's mainly because I woke up to the world that's been screaming at me for years now, and I've been like steadily ignoring it because I've been so dead set on these specific to me issues that, frankly, while I wanted them very badly, I didn't make a lot of the effort to actually physically obtain them. And it's because I was so used to being this self again, these habits that I have. I was so used to being pseudo proud of being this kind of loser. Um, because some of the aspects of myself are some loser shit. Like it's not even like I do things that I feel like are very helpful to other people, but they are not helpful to me. And the other thing that I think is that I've grown up for so long constantly hearing that I'm selfish and constantly hearing that I don't pay attention to other people's needs, and constantly hearing that I'm not doing stuff. I'm so like into myself, and while in most aspects of some time it could sound like that, other times I feel like I was so into being in everybody else's like problems, or listening to everybody else, or letting everybody else tell me how I should be, that I didn't even have enough courage or bravery or like pride to like be myself. And then when I did get prideful, it was at the worst possible times, or it was at times where it was like I really need to put my foot down, but I have people giving me back talk because they don't want me to be prideful at that moment, because they want to be right, because they want to look uh, better, because they want to look smarter. And it's like I knew full well that I'm putting myself in a bad position by compromising myself. And that's where my issue falls. And I'm definitely already at 9 minutes, so this little rant is going to be longer than I thought. But I'm feeling, and I have to remember that I'm not this, because this is my mental talking to me in a way that it's been talking to me, and this is one of my habits. I talk to myself very poorly. Um, I don't, and even though in recent years I've been much more adamant about protecting myself, sometimes it comes out at the worst possible time and it puts me in a bad predicament. And I lost a decent job because I decided to protect my well-being and decided to get in my feelings about something that I probably should have just let die. And now I'm in a predicament now where rent is difficult and I have to do things to make sure I keep the money flowing, and I gotta eat it right now. And the cycle has always been I've been biting it again and again, and I'll tell people, or I'll tell my friends, or they'll know like, oh, there goes Brandon. He sucks with money, and nobody, not even my own parents, are like, well, why is that? Like, I'm like, do you not grasp? But like, I never learned properly how to do this. Like, I'm just learning now, and it's freaking difficult. And it's like, even if y'all didn't know, I mean, it's like y'all could have, but nobody has time, and that's a big thing too. Especially, I feel like, and I'm not gonna say all, but I want to say that most ethnic communities have some sort of thing where they're so dead set on trying to make sure that their children survive this world that sometimes they overlook teaching them skills or teaching them like mannerisms or teaching them ways to navigate because they have to constantly navigate by themselves. And then they have to come home and have to navigate raising these kids, which frankly they can't afford. And I'm not blaming my mom for that. I mean, from what she's done, I mean, look at my outcome. I'm able to live by myself, and I still have friends that are still at home. I mean, it's a luxury to think that I have my own space, but I don't know what this mental problem is. I have some type of like looking down on myself mentality that even though I hide behind bravado a lot, I mean, it's bravado. You can see through it. And I think my friends know me well enough to know, like, they pick me apart because they know it's bravado. But I'm like, how else am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to be confident when I feel like this all the time? And I was having a short conversation with one of my homies, and it dawned on me that when you don't have a certain you have everybody has their own life experiences, but when you don't have a certain life experience, you almost can't grasp how somebody else can feel a certain way about something. And we were going through a conversation where we were talking about how we were raised and how certain things panned out. And I mean, for him, he's always had his mother and father. His mother and father. Me, I started out where I just had my mom. My sperm donor was there and left. And then my stepfather came in, and I don't think he knew how to be a good parent either. So there's a lot of things in my life that I feel like from the outside, my friends look at me and think, well, you should be doing, or you should be able to do, or a lot of the times they'll tell me you can't do, or you shouldn't be doing because of their life experience. And I'm like, you do not grasp why I feel this way, because you will never know who I am, really. Because nobody will ever know you really. I don't remember what we were talking about, but all I'm saying is right now I'm feeling like I'm at a crossroads. I'm at the valley. I'm in the I'm mopping the floors of the Chrysler building right now. And I'm leaving work and I'm looking up thinking, I'm not always going to be a janitor. That's how it feels. That's not my job, but I'm just saying I'm just saying that's how it feels. It's like there was so much like I feel it in me. I have this fire and there's so much potential, but I just don't know where to go. Um and people say get a therapist or find somebody to talk to, and it's like getting a therapist costs money and I'm broke. Maybe you have a bunch of expendable cash that you just want to spend on self-help. I don't have that money, and it's mainly because I have poor spending habits and poor choices. And also maybe, I'm poor. But um I don't know. When you find yourself in the valley, staring up, staring back, staring down, I mean, you have a propensity to keep lingering there because you are at sea level. Look at where I've come from. Look at how far I've fallen. Look at how much further the road is. Look at how high these next Everests are. I've tried to climb those mountains before. You got to climb anyway. And the biggest issue is that nobody is going to give you a hand. Especially not this fucking light. I'll tell you that. This light ain't giving me shit right now. But nobody's gonna give you a hand. And the funniest thing I'll say too, nobody's gonna give you a hand until you're about halfway up the mountain. Because then all of the people who gave up are there. All of the people who rode on somebody's back and got dropped off are there. All of the people who hitched a ride on a helicopter and then the helicopter got too heavy and had to release them there are there. They're all waiting at the halfway point because they're waiting for the easy way to the top. And they're not going to help you from the bottom because nobody wants to climb with you. Because everybody feels and knows, because that's just how people want to be. But everybody feels and knows that nobody's going to help them either. So they don't want to help you. So you have to help yourself. And it's going to be the hardest goddamn fight. And in my opinion, I don't even know if I even want to share it with anyone if I make it. And that's rude. That's rude. That's mean. That's unfair. And I'm not talking about the people who gave you a shot in your wherever your path is. Yeah, share it with them. They opened a door for you. But when I say share it, I'm talking about the people who are gonna slither in. Or it could be the people who have been sitting there in the valley with you, holding rope, holding pickaxes, holding climbing gear, and telling you that you can't climb the mountain. They're real close. They in the store with you every day. They know which rope to pick. But they just don't want to give you that rope. They tell you that, well, you're going to spend all that money on that rope, man. You should be down here just in the shack with us. We could just sell rope together. How about that? I don't want to sell rope. I want to climb.